We are obsessed with the past. Game companies included. If you look at the current landscape, it's either sequel after sequel or remaster after remaster. And admittedly, the latter has been pretty good. Oblivion is a personal highlight, allowing me to play a great game of the past in the modern comforts of, everything.
Stop! You violated the law!
But playing all these new, old games had me thinking back to the games of old that I did play. Really, back to one in particular, Super Mario Galaxy. It just so happens that moving had recently unearthed my old Wii, and still being in the 2020s hell, I thought it never better a time to escape back into the past to a time when things still felt alive, joyful, and, well, still had a sense of wonder.
Super Mario Galaxy!
I really got hit with the authentic experience of the game disc being unreadable. My god, from the moment you gain control, the feeling is palpable. Everything from the music to the movement to the visual. The movement is oddly the most enjoyable part of Galaxy. These days, everything is designed to be as ergonomic as possible. Not Wii controllers. Here's a cylindrical brick and a nunchuck. Remember your strap-on and have fun with motion controls. Oh yeah, remember those? It's certainly an odd feeling having to beat the shit out of the stale air in your room in order to perform certain actions, and while motion controls died for a good reason, it retroactively makes Galaxy a far more unique and a genuinely more enjoyable experience. Mario's moveset is shockingly broad. You can most certainly get by with just the basics, but it is immensely satisfying to string together some more complicated moves to shave off even the slightest amount of seconds. And the level design 100% supports it. Speaking of, what the hell? When you think about levels in video games nowadays, you think about something thematic, with environmental storytelling. Everything has to have some place and some function in the wider world. Not here. Sometimes it is quite literally some blocks floating around for you to jump on. And that's what makes it special. I feel as though too often we forget what games are meant to be. So many have had such great success trying to obtain these ultra-realistic worlds that it seems like the status quo that anytime you present an environment, it needs to have some purpose or some function in the world that you're building. You can have crazy advanced sci-fi ships, but gosh darn it, you better also have the Fuka Powwowzer drive to get around that tricky light speed law. You can perform a double jump, but there better be some text somewhere explaining how the weight of your sack compresses the air enough below you to a degree in which you are able to bounce on it. Games are a way for us to get away from reality, to take a break and immerse ourselves in a world where we can be accursed hunters, noir detectives, or even alien moon submarine divers. And while having rules around how the world functions can help us be more immersed in the experience, it's not required to have fun, and neither is immersion, to be quite frank. You don't have to believe that you're Mario to have fun playing as Mario. And that's where Galaxy shines the brightest. It is a full frontal load of creativity and raw presentation. Why are these stars just hanging out in this random slice of space? Don't know, don't care. I'm just vibing with this beautifully ethereal music, enjoying my time floating through the cosmos. For the first few hours of Galaxy, I couldn't stop. Every aspect of this game from the past kept me pulled in, hook, line, and sinker. Until this happened. This is where cracks started to appear in this so far flawless experience. See, while motion controls really do help to make the game a unique experience, they are terrible for precise anything. It doesn't help that when I was playing, I did so on my monitor, and sensor bars for the Wii just weren't designed to work when you sit this close to them. Very quickly, my utter awe and wonder slowly started to give way to a much more bittersweet experience. I was still having a boatload of fun, but whenever I died because I tried to correct a jump with a spin that was mistimed because I had to physically shake the remote, yeah, I became frustrated. It felt unfair and it felt clunky. I remember never having struggled when I was a kid. Why am I struggling with this now? Memory is an interesting subject. One of the most interesting things about it is that while it helps define the very core of who we are, it's incredibly fallible. There have been many studies done to show just how bad we are at remembering things, and one of my favorite ways of showing this is by simply saying, "Hey, what color are my eyes?" Now, that doesn't mean that our memories are unreliable. It just means we can't always trust them to remember the details. Memory is at its best when it's remembering things in broad strokes, such as how much fun we had playing a game from our childhood. You might play a game and absolutely love it. Everything from the movement to the creative bosses to the incredible soundtrack. But the farther away in time you get from when you made that memory, the more fuzzy it'll become. Given enough time, the details of said memory will start to fade. And given even more time, it may be reduced to just a few clear moments that really stuck with you, and the rest could be gone entirely. And that's why I never struggled playing Galaxy as a kid. Well, as far as I remember, I never did. But I also didn't remember the turtle shell swimming galaxy, or the inverse of the bee galaxy, or that fire and ice flowers were even in the game. Hell, I actually do remember struggling a lot with this Boo race, so much so that I never made it past it to the next star. Yet when I replayed it, I absolutely demolished it! The truth is that I did struggle as a kid. I probably struggled a lot, but after a decade, the only memories that I had left were the good ones, because those were the most powerful and the most meaningful. And that's the problem with nostalgia. It's a glorified version of whatever it may be that we remember. We've all looked back on periods of our lives and thought about how much better they were compared to how they are now. When you're on the tail end of a relationship, it's hard not to wish things could go back to the way they were at the start. When you're stuck working a dead-end job, it's hard not to wish you could go back to the days of partying with your friends in school. When game companies charge $70 for a buggy, uninspired pile of dog shit, it's impossible to not want things to go back to the glory days of gaming, where the Xbox Game Pass wasn't $30. And while you may think that everything really was better back then, chances are it probably wasn't. Now, that's a hard statement to prove, and quite simply often isn't true. Life for each one of us is an ever-evolving story, and it will have its ups and its downs. If you live long enough, chances are you will enter a point in your life that is worse by comparison to a point a few years before. But if you also think of life as a timeline, that means that the bad point you're living in now is worse than what's to come. In other words, it's going to get better. See, I believe that there's an important message to take away from Galaxy. We have all kinds of sayings about the past, and many of them focus on not living in it while still learning from it. But I ask you this, in order to learn, and I mean truly learn and understand the mistakes that we made, don't we need to relive those experiences? To put ourselves back into that mindset and compare it to what we know and understand now, and use that comparison to find a better path into the future. And to be quite honest, I don't know the answer to that question. I know that it's different for me than it is for you. I know that the way my life has evolved and the way that my story's been told isn't the same for you. What matters most to me is meaningless for you. But I also know you like Galaxy. I know it was part of your childhood, and it may be just as meaningful to you as it is for me. It's so meaningful that I didn't want to let it go. When I was prompted to go to the center of the universe and finish the fight, I said no. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to play more, but everything pointed towards me finishing the game. And I needed to. I needed to so I could move on and keep working on this project and the ones after it. Super Mario Galaxy is an amazing game, And it's an amazing experience worth reliving. To once again feel the joy, the frustration, to listen to the yahoos and the amazing songs. To smile once again over something that made me happy. But it's also necessary to understand that it is in the past. Feel the joy and frustration, listen to the amazing songs, smile once again, but understand that it must come to an end. And don't try to stretch it on any longer than the time that experience has to give. You can feel upset that it's over, you can cry in sadness, scream out in anger, feel what you need to feel, and then move forward. And let that experience of the past help guide you to a better future.